of our native population, leftists, as their foot soldiers. Folks, I can't stress enough that these individuals here in the Democrat Party, in the Socialist Democrat Party, they are doing some very, very bad things, very unconstitutional things to us. And I would like that the Republican Party actually bring them to account. I'd like to see a Republican Party say, you know what, for everything you did to Texas, for everything you did to California, for everything that you've done to Minnesota, everything you've done to New York, I really wish that you folks could actually pay a price. I want the Republicans to make the Democrats pay that price. I'm being told right now that Senator Ted Cruz is running a little bit behind. Well, actually, he's ready now. Let's expand on this conversation with the America First champion and the lone conservative senator from the state of Texas, my home state, Ted Cruz. It's good to see you, Senator. Glad you made it. From the open borders to the taxpayer-funded flights in the dark of night, to the massive fraud as illegal aliens and unvetted foreign nationals have been granted access to taxpayer-funded entitlements, as you know, to known and suspected terrorists being released into our nation. Americans elected Trump and the GOP majority not only to stop all of that government-sponsored illegality, but to bring those responsible to justice. After a year, give me your grade on how that effort is going so far.
Well, look, I think it's still a work in progress. When it comes to securing the border, I would give the president an A++. He inherited a wide open border. He inherited an invasion at our southern border. It was deliberate. It was caused by Joe Biden and the Democrats, over 12 million illegals. And within days of the president being sworn into office, we saw illegal immigration, illegal border crossings drop more than 99%. It's extraordinary success, and they've held the line consistently. In terms of apprehending illegals, particularly those who are violent criminals, who are murderers, who are rapists, who are child molesters, who are gang members, I would give that an A to an A-. I think that they have arrested and deported over 2 million people. That is significant. They are working very hard. They've done so in the face of massive resistance from Democrats, from mayors, from Democrat governors, from radical left-wing activists who are attacking ICE, who are demonizing Border Patrol agents, who are doing everything they can to obstruct. The reason I would say A to A- is, as much as they've done, there's still a lot more to do. And I think Tom Homan and the president would agree as well that there's more to do. And I think they're doubling down on their efforts. Every single violent criminal, illegal alien they deport is making America safer. So I would say overall, the grade is incomplete. We are just a year into the administration. What we have accomplished in the first year is breathtaking, but there's a whole lot more work to be done.
Yes, and praise God, Congress will get behind the America First coalition in the White House and codify some of this stuff into law. Let's move on to the Clintons. The Clintons have refused to show up for a deposition before the House Oversight Committee today. Bill first, and Hill, we'll see what happens tomorrow. President Clinton made his excuses in a letter claiming the subpoena wasn't valid. Chairman Comer is promising to hold him accountable. Will the Clintons see jail time the same way Steve Bannon and Peter Navarro once did for refusing Democrat subpoenas? Or do you think, Senator, the GOP will continue this unwritten tradition of treating Democrats as if they're above the law?
Yeah, look, I think if Bill or Hillary Clinton defy congressional subpoenas, I think they risk jail time. And the Biden administration crossed that threshold. A subpoena has force of law. Now, it takes two things. It takes, number one, in the House, it's the House that's subpoenaing them. It takes the House voting to subpoena him and then voting to find him in contempt of the House or find her in contempt of the House if they defy that subpoena. That's the first step. The second step is the Department of Justice has to choose to prosecute it. We saw during the Obama administration, when Eric Holder, then the Attorney General, was held in contempt of Congress, that the Obama administration, the Obama DOJ, would not prosecute Eric Holder. It was shameless, it was lawless, but of course it was Eric Holder making the decision not to prosecute himself. We saw during Biden where they used the ability to go after Steve Bannon and Peter Navarro. Both did jail time for asserting executive privilege and declining to testimony. They both served jail time. I got to tell you, Bill Clinton and Hillary Clinton got to feel really nervous. I think if the House moves forward, if the Clintons defy the subpoena, if the House moves forward and hold them in contempt, my prediction is that the Trump Department of Justice will prosecute that contempt finding and do everything they can to have them treated exactly the same way that Joe Biden treated senior officials in the Trump White House.
On the DOJ, Senator, you took me right where I wanted to go, because Chairman Comer has also said he's, quote, disappointed in the DOJ's performance. According to the Wall Street Journal, President Trump privately views Attorney General Pam Bondi as ineffective at holding wrongdoers accountable from the previous regime. After a year of the Republicans and the America First coalition in charge, do you think there's any excuse for the Department of Justice to be stuck in first gear, in particular after the breadth of the illegal Crossfire, hurricane, and Arctic frost operations have been laid bare?
Well, listen, I want to say at the outset, I am skeptical of press articles that rely on anonymous sources and that try to smear a Trump cabinet appointee. We see a lot of those, and I think a lot of the corporate media that publishes those, there's reason to doubt the accounts. As for Pam Bondi, I'm a big fan of Pam Bondi's. Pam is a friend. She is a conservative. I think she is doing a very good job. I think she is working very hard. I think she has quite possibly the single most difficult job in the entire Trump administration. She's gone into a Department of Justice that under first Barack Obama and then under Joe Biden was thoroughly politicized and weaponized. And she faces a significant number of radical partisans who burrowed into career positions, who have waged war on President Trump and waged war on the Trump agenda. And I think both Pam Bondi and Kash Patel are working night and day to try to directly address that and turn that around. Do I wish more had been accomplished? Yes, I think they do as well, but I am skeptical of these anonymous reports. We've seen a lot of them, of this cabinet member the president is mad at, this cabinet member the president is mad at. It is usually some disgruntled staffer who's trying to stick it to and hurt the cabinet. I think Pam Bondi is laser focused on locking up bad guys, and we've seen incredible success going after and locking up criminal gangbangers, murderers, rapists, child molesters, breaking up terrorist organizations. All of that is good, and I'm really glad to see that the White House has announced a new focus on going after fraud. We've seen much of this Minnesota fraud that is horrific, that is historically bad, has been uncovered because the U.S. attorney there is bringing the case. The Department of Justice is bringing the case. And I think you're going to see a lot more resources focused to rooting out fraud. I think all of that is good, and I'm glad they're doing it.
Well, speaking of radicalized, unqualified individuals in government, last week you sent a letter to House Speaker Mike Johnson urging him to take up impeachment proceedings against two of these partisan judges, district judges, James Boasberg, Deborah Boardman. The Constitution vests a check on judicial power in the hands of the legislative branch.
Yes.
Isn't it unconscionable that no accountability has come thus far to these rogue judges?
Well, listen, I'm hopeful that the House will act and bring impeachment proceedings. We've had impeachment proceedings filed in the House against both of those judges, one by Congressman Chip Roy, another one by Congressman Brandon Gill, both Texans. Last week, I chaired a hearing in the Oversight Subcommittee of the Senate Judiciary Committee on judicial impeachments, and in particular calling for the impeachment of these two judges for different reasons. James Boasberg has been a wild partisan, and most notably on Arctic frost, which was Jack Smith and the Biden Department of Justice effort to politicize and weaponize the DOJ, to go after Donald Trump, to go after Trump supporters, and in particular, Judge Boasberg signed off on gag orders, authorizing the subpoenas of nearly 20% of the Republicans in the United States Senate, a giant fishing expedition. He entered orders concluding that Republican senators would destroy evidence, would tamper with witnesses. There was zero legal or factual basis for him to do so. It was simply, Chris, a partisan exercise, a judge saying, I'm on Team Democrat, Republicans are the bad guys. That's not what judges are on the bench to do. I think Bozeman should be impeached. And then Judge Deborah Boardman is the judge who has before her the case of Nicholas Roski, the extreme left-wing activist who flew from California to D.C. to murder Justice Brett Kavanaugh, to try to murder his family, to murder other Supreme Court justices. He was caught with a gun, with a knife, with duct tape right outside the justice's home. And the Department of Justice rightly sought 30 years in jail for attempting to murder a sitting Supreme Court justice. And this lawless judge said, no, I'm going to give him a slap on the wrist. I'm going to deviate down 22 years. Instead of 30 years, I'm going to give him just 8 years so that he'll come out of jail when he's 35 years old. It was indefensible. It was an embrace of violence for political ends, and I think Judge Boardman should be impeached and removed. I hope the House impeaches both of them.
Senator, I've only got about a minute and a half left, but I want to talk to you about something you've been talking about on your podcast. The Iranian regime is teetering on collapse, as you know. Over at CBS Fake News, Norah O'Donnell, rather than blaming the Ayatollah and the mullahs for the carnage against the protesters, she's blaming the exiled crown prince for encouraging the protests. Listen.
But as you are urging people to protest and go to the streets, the death toll is rising in Iran. This violent crackdown continues just as it has in past attempted revolutions. I mean, is it responsible to be sending citizens in Iran to their deaths?
Senator, would you address CBS Fake News first, and they're blaming the victims, then tell us what you're suggesting the Iranians and their supporters do?
Yeah, look, that is utterly disgraceful. That is CBS acting as the mouthpiece for the Iranian regime. Let me be clear. Everyone being killed is the result of the Ayatollah and the mullahs. It is oppression. And what is happening in Iran is incredible. Millions of people bravely going to the streets, standing up against oppression. I'll tell you, the American people stand with the people of Iran. And importantly, Donald Trump is not Barack Obama. In 2009, when the Iranian people rose up, Barack Obama sided with the Islamist tyrants against the people of Iran. Donald Trump has made clear, we have your back. And I got to say, Chris, right now is a moment that is so consequential. I think there is a very, very real possibility that in the next days or weeks or months that the Iranian regime will fall, that the Ayatollah will be out of power, and very few things would make America safer than having this crazed jihadist who chants death to America no longer leading a military. The Iranian regime has murdered hundreds of American servicemen and women, and I got to say, I am proud to stand with those heroes in Iran who are risking their lives to say, no more. We don't want an Islamist dictator oppressing us and spreading terrorism throughout the world.
Conservative Texas Senator Ted Cruz, it is always a pleasure, sir. I look forward to talking to you again soon. You know, folks, I thank God for my wonderful wife, my kids, my country, the greatest nation ever. And Americans like you who believe in the truth, the Chris Salcedo Show will never stop fighting for you.
The Chris Salcedo Show, for the news you need to know.